What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sandy Chi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Tropical storm Krathon has grown into a typhoon as it approaches Taiwan from the southeast. The country's weather agency issued a sea warning for Krathon on Sunday morning, saying mountainous areas can expect heavy rain and winds. The Central Weather Administration says the storm is still getting stronger and will be closest to the main island on Tuesday and Wednesday. The forecaster says a land warning is possible late Sunday or early Monday. Taiwan has taken delivery of its first ever land-launched Harpoon anti-ship missile system. The US approved the sale of 400 of the surface-to-ship missiles along with related equipment back in 2020. Local media cite military sources saying that the first launches arrived at Taiwan's southern port city of Kaohsiung on Friday. The total defense contract, worth over $2 billion is scheduled to be fulfilled by 2029. Meanwhile, Taiwan's Coast Guard says it'll buy some less lethal weapons, such as so-called shock warheads and flashbang grenades. It says it wants to avoid unnecessary risk to life when countering China's gray zone maritime activities. A former U.S. ambassador has confirmed that Taiwanese soldiers are training in the state of Michigan. Joseph Sella told a congressional committee last week that the troops train at Camp Grayling, the largest National Guard training facility in the U.S. Sella spoke at the hearing to highlight the threat of a proposed Chinese factory nearby. It's the first confirmation of the joint training since Japanese media broke the story last year. China has conducted military drills at an atoll in the South China Sea that's been at the center of recent friction between Beijing and Manila. The Chinese military says its Air Force and Navy held the exercises around the Scarborough Shoal. Meanwhile, the Philippines, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand are conducting separate military drills in South China Sea waters that fall within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. China claims nearly all the region as its territory, while neighboring countries, including Taiwan and Malaysia, have competing claims. Malaysia's foreign minister called for peace at this year's UN General Assembly in New York.
We must collectively pursue a different vision of South China Sea, a future in which this region is a zone of peace, stability, and cooperation. We must adopt a collaborative approach embedded in diplomacy and dialogue. Thus, I call upon all countries to abide by the UNCLOS in the conduct of maritime governance.
The Environment Ministry is taking control of an energy source that's been growing in popularity, one that could harm air quality if left unregulated. John Van Triest reports.
This is a boom time for fuels made from landfill waste in Taiwan. These so-called solid recovered fuels, or SRFs, are an alternative to coal, and they're made of waste that would otherwise end up in the dump. In just 5 years, domestic use has quadrupled, and the number of companies in the SRF market has jumped from 8 to 66. But though waste is being recycled, this isn't green energy, and lax regulation has environmentalists concerned about air pollution. Now, the Environment Ministry is stepping in. A 3-month investigation has found problems, chief among them a supply chain that's murky at best, with who is buying and using these fuels often unclear.
销售流向部分呢，这部分是一个我们最不满意的地方哈。事实上，他们在这个流向的申报并不确实。
The Environment Ministry plans to move paperwork online and install CCTV cameras to monitor where the fuel is going. There's better news when it comes to the known users of this fuel. Most companies burning SRFs are major manufacturers, and only 6% need to better comply with regulations. But there are 4 companies that emit highly toxic dioxin when they burn this fuel, and this is something officials say they won't tolerate.
如果它没有办法达标，它就要退场，加装污染防治设备来达到这样的一个标准跟改善。这个技术不难。
One thing officials are sure of is that SRFs are only being made from domestic waste.
SRF 不能进口。目前我们台湾的现行的再生能源发展条例，它顶多视为再生能源。
There are signs the SRF boom could be slowing, with 14 companies planning to get out of the market. And stricter standards for incinerators that may be announced by the end of the year could cool things down further. But the Environment Ministry believes properly regulating the market is key to making sure Taiwan gets only the benefits from this newly popular source of fuel. Joseph Wu and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
Discussions of dementia often overlook the younger people affected by the condition. But working-aged people with neurological impairments pose challenges for their families and Taiwan's workforce. As John Van Triest reports, about 14,000 young people in the country have younger-onset dementia, sparking discussion over how best to help them.
There's more to this cafe than meets the eye. Here, the servers all have dementia. But these are not the faces of dementia most customers are used to seeing as the population ages. These servers are all aged between 30 and 64. An International Alzheimer's Foundation says the odds of getting dementia in this younger age bracket are just 1 in 1,000, which in Taiwan has translated to about 14,000 people of working age with the condition, a possible financial disaster for those in their prime earning years. As awareness of younger or early onset dementia grows, so does discussion about how to help people who develop the condition. Some stress early detection and intervention, and there are care resources for those who need it, regardless of age. Cities like Taipei, where around 40,000 people live with dementia, are especially well equipped.
希望能够早期诊断、早期治疗，所以初筛很重要。初筛确诊，然后到就医、到资源的一个连结。所以我们台北市这边，我们有11个失智共照中心。
But many people living with dementia are still able to do some form of work to help support themselves. And one NGO in particular wants to help patients who are able to get back into the workforce.
如果没有一个足够友善的职场的支持环境的时候，他其实多半他会面临到提早退休、被迫离职等等相关的一些情况。那这影响的可能是家庭面的经济，然后还有甚至是就是结构，然后是子女的教养。
There are calls for a law to address the needs of people living with dementia, including these younger patients. But for now, local officials and NGOs are finding ways to at least ease the social impact of this debilitating condition. Ryan Wu and John Van Triest for TaiwanPlus.
People with the need for speed have descended on central Taiwan to witness Formula One driver Yuki Tsunoda tear up the streets of Taichung City. The Red Bull showrun Taichung has drawn huge crowds to this street in central Taiwan to witness a spectacle of raw automotive power. This is the first time such an event is being held in the country, after being hosted in other cities around the world, including Tokyo, Washington and Prague. All 30,000 tickets to the event were sold out minutes after going on sale.
听得会鸡皮疙瘩，就是在 比赛看那么久，然后第一次看到实体车，然后出现在台湾，是很难得的机会。
And people without tickets gathered outside the venue to try to get a glimpse of the event, bringing the total number of spectators to over 60,000.
没有抢到票就经过了，就进来看一下这样。
The Red Bull showrun brought the entire F1 Red Bull racing team to Taichung, including 24-year-old driver Yuki Tsunoda. Red Bull believes he could be the first Japanese driver to win a World Championship Grand Prix. Tsunoda showed off his skills using the 2012 F1 champion car known as RB8, but it was his first time behind that vehicle's wheel, and he spent some time getting used to it.
In terms of setup, yeah, to be honest, as long as the car goes forward, I'm happy. Yesterday we checked the seat position, everything, because I'm quite short, so it's hard to reach the pedal. So we put a lot of pads behind myself, so make sure I can fit into make sure I can reach the throttle.
Before hitting the road, the racer joked about accidentally breaking the law.
The one thing I have to worry about is probably speed camera. I saw this speed camera middle of the road. I hope I don't have to pay, or I don't want to go to jail. So hopefully everything is switched off.
Tsunoda wowed the audience in Taiwan with tricks like tire burnouts and donuts. On the last lap, the excitement peaked when the vehicle overheated and burst into flames. Fortunately, staff quickly stepped in to extinguish the fire. Red Bull says this is common at F1 races, but the crowd in Taiwan had never seen it before. Alongside the spectacle, visitors also had the chance to get a closer look at a racing legend.
Behind me, it is the Oracle Red Bull Racing RB19. It is one of the most dominant cars in the history of Formula One championships. This icon here has won 21 races out of 22 it has competed in. And for F1 fans here, to see the champ up close is a whole new experience.
It's huge. It's such a scary looking car. It has so much aura to it. Seeing it up close is just wow, like really taking it all in is crazy.
The short show in Taichung was not an official Formula One race, but the event marks an important milestone for the city as it tries to raise its profile on the international stage. Justin Wu, Ryan Wu, and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan was once known as the Butterfly Kingdom due to the country being home to more butterfly species than many others. But as the population of one eye-catching species declines, conservationists are worried the country may lose that title and, more importantly, its treasured butterflies for good. Wesley Lewis has the details.
Once common across northern Taiwan, the great purple emperor butterfly is now a rare sighting. The butterfly's numbers have dropped sharply over the decades. Faced with the insect's potential extinction, conservationists have been working to monitor the vulnerable butterfly species. But its natural habitat has made those efforts challenging.
基本上就是那种很浓密的森林，所以大指蛱蝶在这些浓密的森林里面，怎么样去求偶，怎样去交配，怎样去产卵，其实都很难观察。
Taiwan is often called the Butterfly Kingdom, as the country is home to over 400 butterfly species. But in the 1980s, commercial collection of butterflies became a lucrative business in the country. Collectors would trade packaged specimens and merchandise made of wing clippings, fueling an international trade that would decimate the populations of various butterfly species, including the great purple emperor, coveted for its rare color.
我们只能根据前人的观察，当年一天观察141只，那现在一天只能观察10只、20只，你就知道它确实变少了嘛。OK， 但是没有很精确的数字啊，这个蛮可惜的。
What's more, human development and urbanization in northern Taiwan has further harmed the species with large-scale habitat destruction.
日本时代最早在台湾发现台湾的这个蝴蝶的时候啊，连万华都有，你知道吗？新店、万华都有，所以显然就是我们这边的那个都市化，把那个适合的环境给破坏。
The great purple emperor only lays eggs on hackberry trees, meaning their habitats are extremely limited. And as climate change and rising temperatures push the species to move to higher altitudes for cooler breeding grounds, conservationists worry that the butterflies might not find hackberry trees there.
到处都有破树，它为什么不用？显然它是被这边的温度跟湿度圈住了。不过现在环境开始慢慢暖化之后，它们必须要赶快往上跑。那现在就会面临到一个问题啦，现在就是你。 树木有没有办法适应到那么快往上跑？
It's not just Taiwan's great purple emperor that's facing an existential threat. Results of the UK's annual Big Butterfly Count have shown the lowest numbers in the survey's 14-year history, which scientists say signals a larger environmental crisis.
We've got about 20,000 species of insects in the UK. The butterflies are just the largest, most visible, most easily identified ones. So when their populations are crashing, that should really be a big wake-up call that something is seriously wrong with the state of our environment.
In response to the troubling survey results, conservationists in the UK have called on the government to ban pesticides that are harmful to local butterfly species. And here in Taiwan, conservationists are working to keep a close eye on wild populations of the great purple emperor, while also introducing educational initiatives in schools about the importance of ecological preservation. The hope is that these conservation efforts can restore the great purple emperor population and help the species return to its former glory in the butterfly kingdom. Scott Huang and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out this drone show held in Hong Kong in the run-up to China's National Day celebrations. I'm Sandy Chi. Take care and see you next time.